Hello, everyone, and welcome to Recruiting EQ, episode number 89. I'm Rick Coluccio, and Recruiting EQ is a podcast here for those who are just joining us, which advocates for the emotional quotient in recruitment and in the job market. And today, our featured guest is Mitchell Tan, co-founder of Kondo, which is an app, incidentally, that I personally use and quite like. And this is how I met Mitchell, and I feel like he's got quite a story to tell, and we will discover that. How's it going, Mitchell?
It's going well.
Thanks for joining us from sunny Los Angeles, or not from Los Angeles, actually, from sunny Singapore today.
Yeah, it's I'm currently in Singapore. It's not very sunny because it's at night, but yeah. Greetings from like tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Live from the future. It's Mitchell Tan. Mitchell, can you do me a favor and tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and what you're working on these days?
Yeah, so I'm currently building trykondo.com. It's basically an inbox that plugs into your LinkedIn messages and turns it into something more like email. We live in 2026. We have these things called email apps. They have things like reminders, labels, folders, right? Like things to help you stay organized and be productive. But LinkedIn has none of those. So if you're doing lots of messaging, you might find yourself often like scrolling a million years just to find that message lost in mess. Right? If you're trying to follow up with people, you might end up making one big spreadsheet that has like dates and times and random tags in it. And Kondo ends all of that. So it basically helps you stay organized, move really quickly through your inbox, and not need to like track things externally. So that's me building that thing now. Have been doing this for the last year and a half, and then prior to that I ran a little recruiting firm called Beluga, and we had an icon. It was like a beluga with a cape, and we basically
super beluga.
Yeah, super beluga, and we helped early stage startups in Silicon Valley find software engineers and data scientists and other technical people. And that's where I got my idea for my current business, because I send a million LinkedIn messages and I couldn't find them. And
yeah, seriously,
I thought, why am I spreadsheeting these things? And that's kind of where how we got here.
Which makes total sense. And Beluga, though, is still, you're no longer actively working in Beluga, but it still does exist, correct?
Yeah, it does exist. The team got the whales swam on without me. Like it got the team there has scaled. It's like an 8-person business now. They've done a lot of things after we left.
Yeah, and I'd love to get into that, actually, because you and I were having a bit of a sidebar conversation earlier about sort of the process that you guys ran with Beluga, or that they're running now, and that sparked me to ask a bunch of questions. So let's get to that too, in terms of the relationship these days between technology and humans doing the recruiting job in a workflow way. Before we get too heavy into it, Mitchell, I would love to sort of get a sense of your whole trajectory career-wise. But before we do that, I would like to just point out why I personally was really interested in Kondo in particular. It was referred over to me by somebody who I've had a lot of great dealings with and whose opinion I trusted quite a bit. Tried it out, and I feel like there's a push for some professionals out there who use LinkedIn to want to use your direct messages and connect with people to manage your network. So network management over relying on tools like LinkedIn Recruiter or Sales Navigator, where the inboxes are related to your subscription relationship. You lose access to them, first of all. And secondly, you're not really nurturing your network in any other way unless you're connected to them. I'm not saying those tools don't have a place. They definitely do. It's just, if you're trying to do a network-driven recruitment or sales project and you want constant like nurturing of people, then that's kind of a gap, right? Like, people usually use Sales Nav or Recruiter Lite or Recruiter in LinkedIn speak to get source and get business and do business development, whatever. But there's a push to sort of manage your existing network and get multiple, like you really nurture those people, and that's where I feel like Kondo sort of helps you because you don't have those features unless you have one of the add-ons for LinkedIn. Was that part of it for you? Was it part of like, hey, how do I manage my actual network and not just use a tool to get in-mails out and manage the inbox that way? Or like what was the journey to get you to think of doing Kondo this way?
Yeah, I mean, so I've learned different flavors of like outreach kind of workflows and tactics different recruiting firms use. But we actually, I don't know what they do now, but we actually didn't send a single email, right?
Interesting.
Like our workflow was like we would max out our connect requests with candidates that we thought were interesting, and we would try and like build a relationship with these people, and we'd say stuff like, yo, you look like you're interested in early stage startups, right? I've worked in an early stage startup. I'm now hiring for some. I have a few founders that might be excited to meet you, and here's why I think they might be excited to meet you. Want to chat, right? So
Yeah.
we do that, right? We like say this over the course of a short back and forth exchange, or other times people would connect and we would be like, "Yo, you're a great fit for this role. It pays a lot of money. It lets you do stuff you want to do. It seems interested, right?" So we never send these as in-mails, and I think it's mainly because we had this assumption, and I'm actually pretty sure this is not true universally, but we just assume for ourselves that like if you get this in-mail that says in-mail and it has this subject line like, hot job at hot company, right? It's like it works if you're looking for a hot job at a hot company, right? Like if
Yeah.
you're like actively in market, right, for a
100%.
job, like you would take that call maybe. But like if you're not, right, and we were looking for engineers for early stage startups, right? So like in SF, and there were not that many of them. So it's like very few of our target candidate pool was like actively looking for a job, right? They were like mostly not looking for a job, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that it felt too like impersonal. It felt too like transactional to use
Yes.
like just in-mails with like a long description. And so we felt we send connect requests, and then you need to keep track of who accepts connect requests, and then you have to like just keep track of like multiple back and forth follow-ups, and we need a tool for that. So I don't know, like it was always our approach to be a bit more like nurturing or like to like grow the network rather than blast like a job announcement basically to a target list.
Yeah, and that makes total sense to me. I feel like, the heyday of sending a job description or like a job headline that sounds very professional and cold and isn't like you're saying, "Yo, let's chat. You seem cool and we have things in common." The sort of personal approach, that professional sort of distant, slightly cold approach obviously worked super well for like years.
Mm.
But I don't think it does anymore. And I agree with you that I think that the value of recruiting firms gets called into question when you're just doing the exact same thing that internal TA departments can do. So if what you're doing is sending an email that's a templated email to individuals and seeing who comes back, that's almost like getting applicants. It's people who are interested in the job. Internal TA departments can do that. Like it's not super valuable. But I'm of the mind that the point of getting an external agency would be to have relationships with people who are passive, who are not on the market, who are not responding to these things, and who could be a fit. And by understanding what their true motivations are, reach out to them in a strategic way, blah, blah, blah. I think that's the value. But it really throws a wrench in a lot of the stats you have at traditional recruiting firms, or even that you hear about it being a numbers game. Like many people are like, okay, well, what's the percentage of engagement to your outreach? The percentage engagements to your outreach will dictate how effective your outreach is. And I'm like, not necessarily though, right? Because if your outreach is only to passive people, the percentage will go down. But truly you only need one or two. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it isn't just
Yeah,
a
I mean,
strict numbers game.
I think it probably varies by the market you're in, right?
Agreed.
Like it's like this recruiting is like such a big market. Like this By the way, your video went off. Did it? Yeah,
It's back.
your
I
video went
apologize
off.
in advance. If my video goes off and my sound goes off, it is because I have the worst sniffles and sneezes right now, and I don't want to sneeze in the microphone, so I apologize. Please go on.
Yeah, so I don't think we can generalize here, right? I think the whole
Sure.
point of like recruiting as an industry is like it's super fragmented. Like they're all like you pick your niche and like yeah. So I speaking for ourselves back then, I mean, again, we're looking for like software engineers in San Francisco for San Francisco companies. There aren't that many of them, like
Yeah, small pool.
like and we're in a mega like tech boom, right? The and we're looking for like like top 25 percentile engineers, and these people can get 10 job offers tomorrow if they want, right?
Yeah.
So our role was not to just like tell people their jobs because they knew their jobs, right?
Yeah.
Our role was to help people like our relationship with candidates is like to help people explore possible options that like they might like. In fact, often we're like helping candidates do like due diligence on companies, right?
Mhm.
As a top engineer, you want to know you want to like think through like whether it's a good opportunity or not, and you do your job. You're working in one company, so you don't see the market, right? But we see the market. Like we see a spread of like clients who want to work with us, and we want to work with some of them, and others we don't. We like spend all day thinking about like we think a bit like investors, like
Yeah.
what are the markers of a company that's good, like has a chance of making it next. We spend a lot of time with different founders. We choose to work with some of them. We choose not to work with them. So like we basically like in some ways, the value we offered to candidates was, hey, I'm here to like help you think through your career, and if you want, like, I can introduce you to a range of companies, right? And for clients, we were basically repping their brand, right? Like we were evangelizing for their teams, their culture, yeah, their product vision, in a way which maybe like the founders of these companies could have done themselves, but like not. We did this like all day, every day, like 60 hours a week, right? And all of this had to be human. Like if someone's already can get 10 job offers tomorrow, then you don't like your emails, and even like if you send a little voice bot after them or something like that, like it's not gonna help, right? Like people are looking to make like difficult high trust decisions, and I think
Yes.
that's where like they want to talk to a human, and they want like human advice, or yeah.
Totally. And I think you articulated all of that very, very well. And I appreciate you doing that because I'm of the same mind entirely. I think that like one of the best ways to not like anybody who's treating their recruitment practice in a transactional way is going to get relegated to being a bit of a commodity. Anybody who wants to truly partner with a client is going to the value add has to be the recruiter themselves. They have to be able to build trust and give proper advice to hard to find candidates and understand their needs and motivations and where they fit in the market. And it just saves everybody time, right? That high trust decision making assistance, I think, is a really premium thing that humans need to do. So I totally agree with you, and I think that your tool actually helps people achieve that rather than just sending templated emails all the time. Which again, there's a time and a place for that, but it's a little easier to pull off. What you're suggesting is harder to do, and I think that's where the benefit of Kondo comes in.
Yeah, I mean, I when I first started recruiting, I like talked to recruiters in different industries, and one of the industries I was sharing with someone in was like the kind of investment banking industry. So you like every year there are like 10 firms that like finance grads want to get into, and there are only so many grads, right, from like the top Ivy League colleges, and everyone's gonna land a job in one of these firms, right? So and there are like I don't know, like there's an oligopoly of recruiting firms. There are like these 5 recruiting firms, and the 5 recruiting firms talk to all the finance graduates, and they talk to all the firms, and they just basically like push applicant, like they push people in this like little bubble, right? And honestly, I mean, these firm do you really need these firms, right? It's like a little marketplace that like everyone gets matched eventually, and it's just like the firms competing with other firms for like the top graduates, and the top graduates trying to lever up their offers, and um, there's probably still a role for firms, and they make a lot of money because they control this like both sides of the marketplace, and they'll probably like make a lot of money for some time to come. But in terms of like how much value they're adding, I'm not sure, right?
Yeah.
They're just it's just kind of like they are in this apparatus which is not going away, and like there's a lot of money in it, so like they're basically like taking a cut of like a very well oiled marketplace, which is like good for them. Like you're not, if you can make money without adding that much value, yeah, why not? Right?
Why
Like
not? For sure.
but yeah, so there's like there are probably going to be niches where there's like transactional recruit, like a bit more transactional recruiting happening, where
For sure.
there's money to be made. But maybe in these cases, then you need like reputation, and you need the relationships with these like large entities, and it'll be hard for you to break into that, right? If you aren't already like the middleman of choice, then you won't become one, because what could you possibly offer that's like that different, right? But I think in markets where it's not locked, where like people could people could come from anywhere and go anywhere, and like engineering is a good example. Like you never like anyone can be a great engineer. They don't
Right.
have to have like, graduated from Stanford, right? And if you can find the engineer who like the market hasn't priced in, but like is like it has like very
Awesome.
clear
Yeah.
evidence that they would like change a company's trajectory, then like you should be paid your full 30% contingency fee to find the guy, right?
Yeah.
Because like it's a lot of work, right? And so I think it's about like like what your market is. Like are you already like the big dog, or are you trying to break in? And then all that like factors into how much your relationships and relationship building matters.
Yeah, I think that's very well articulated. Do you feel that even if you are the big dog right now, if you're doing that kind of more like less value being added, but more just like the historical reputation and being part of the well-oiled machine is all you're bringing to the table, do you feel like those people will one day be in danger because they're not adding as much value of like their fees going down, or the service being commoditized, priced out, or replaced by technology? Or do you feel like in other words, do you feel like people should be trying to go where there's the most value in order to future proof themselves?
I don't know. I mean, I think I was just talking to someone the other day who they do like finance in like the raw markets, right? So like they move money in like Africa, Latin America, and like these are like industries which are very hard for AI to disrupt, because they how do you get the guy in like some like in Argentina to trust you, right?
Good point.
And so I think that in it's so hard to say, but I I think it's a fair game to like find an industry where things don't change that fast, and like kind of like embed yourself into it, and just be like a known character there, and yeah, just like by virtue of being there or having been there, like you take a cut of transactions. Yeah, I think that's fair play. But I mean, so no, linked like I don't think like hitting people on LinkedIn and nurturing your relationships is like the only
Absolutely.
like path to surviving or even thriving. I think it just is for like if you're hiring like salespeople for tech companies, then
Sure.
you probably, like you would be highly valuable if you had relationships with the top salespeople, and you don't get these relationships to show up at your door unless maybe you were former like top salesperson yourself. You do this by like putting in the work of, like getting these people to reply to you, like giving them something of value, like following it up with them over time, right? And that happens probably in LinkedIn, and then in your text messages if you're close enough, and then that's how it goes.
There's one feature in particular for that you're saying that I found was desirable to someone like me too, which is sort of look at your network and see the people who are in your network, even by location or by company or whatever else, and see if you've never sent them a message. Because sometimes it is true, you connect with great people, and for some reason it slips through the cracks, and you've never even reached out to say hi, introduce yourself, and nothing. And that's a great sort of reminder. It's like, oh my god, look at these 20 great looking profiles that I've never even said hello to.
Yeah, I mean, I think like LinkedIn, like at its core, LinkedIn is a Rolodex, right? Your connection list is like people that you've like met in some way or like bumped into somehow, either online or offline, and then they're in your like address book. Now that's like entirely in your hands to use your address book to go find people. If you're in the business of finding people, especially in recruiting, then you should 100% like go like flip your Rolodex all day, right? And well, LinkedIn makes it kind of hard because like it's kind of finicky, and you like click a million buttons to filter stuff. But yeah, I mean, something I do in Kondo a lot, like something people do in Kondo a lot, is like, I'm traveling somewhere. I wonder if I can meet like interesting people who are like, say, in New York, right? Who are also in like my industry. Like I want to meet, I don't know, like performance marketers in LA or something. I wonder who I should meet. And then, they're already sitting in your network. You bump into some of them at some point, and you just haven't like said hi. So yeah, Kondo makes that job a bit easier. But even if you don't have Kondo, you should do that, right? Like you should like, yeah. I it's kind of, it feels dumb saying this, but like it's like the audience must be like, what, you think we're five, right? Like, but like if people don't do that. Like there are lots of, I bet you, if there's anyone listening to this at all, there are like at least a dozen connections that by reaching out to them, you could get some opportunity out of in your connections. The challenge is like finding them and actually doing it. And yeah, we don't do that enough. Like they're probably like the warmest pool to start from, and yet we spend more time like building new lists of people than like mining existing connections on LinkedIn.
Yeah, and I would say that personally, as just as a rec direct for like 7 years now, and talking to recruiters all the time, all day, every day, in different places too, in the UK, in Canada, in the US, predominantly US, but still, I feel like a lot of a lot of recruiters come up in an environment where they are trained to sort of keep a safe distance. I think it's the result of people trying to, get a training program that is like scalable. And so it doesn't recruiters from a young age, or like a young, junior in recruitment, when they're being trained, they aren't necessarily encouraged to be that much of an individual and just befriend these people and talk to them like people. They're encouraged to sort of build an email sequence, and you know what I mean? And so I think that it's just been the trend, especially since COVID, to not do the sort of more traditional old school kind of thing like you're suggesting, and just make friends with these
Yeah,
people.
I mean, it's interesting, right? You see this like happening in sales as well, right?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
once upon a time, if you were like an SDR, you could just go build a little email sequence and outreach or something, and you just like go press buttons, and some people reply, and cool, meeting booked, right? And like that used to work. Like it used to work.
Okay, charm. Yeah.
And then okay, that doesn't work anymore. But like,
Right.
okay, now you just go on the phones, right? Yeah, like you make 150 dials a day, and you'll book some meetings. That's great. But basically, like sales is that there's so much alpha for salespeople who break that mold and like build like a genuine rapport and trust with their prospects. Especially if you're selling something complicated. And if you think about what you're selling in recruiting, you are selling people very one of 5 times in life change in their career, like you are selling for yourself maybe a $20,000 to $40,000 deal.
Yeah, or
This
more.
is kind of like enterprise software, right? And so if your deals are worth that much, if there's so much upside from getting a deal right, then it is, and also like these like spray and pray approaches aren't working anymore, right? Then like what is your real job? I think your real job is to like stand out, to like to be like like in a sea of messages people don't care about, to be like the guy who people want to talk to, and
Yep.
the guy who people trust, and the guy who people remember when they think about this category of thing, which is like a job or this type of software. And I think that's like lasting leverage you can build, and it's yeah we have been in an arms race for a while, where like for attention, right? Like the more
Yes.
automation stuff, and then like people have to filter out like the automated things they get, and what cuts through is people who care. Like, do you care enough about me to like you know like are you actually interested in my career? Right?
For sure.
And if you can demonstrate that, then you have a relationship, and this relationship can be very lucrative.
Yep. And I think you hit on something really important that I feel sometimes gets lost in the shuffle, because when you're doing recruitment, you're so busy, you speak to so many people, it's hard to stay fresh in every perspective and call, because there can be a lot of repetition. But it's that curiosity and that interest in getting to understand someone's past career, to know who are they, what makes them tick, what are their motivations, what are the things they've liked and not liked, so that you can ask yourself the question, like you're saying before, and truly advise them in a high trust situation and say, you know what, maybe this job isn't right for you, actually, because it's a lot like this other job that you didn't like for X or Y or Z reason, instead of just approaching them and being like, take my job, please. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And also like yes, it's hard, but like recruiting is hard. I mean, yeah, like again, you're selling, you're selling a pretty high ticket deal, right?
Yeah,
Like you do 100 of the, if you close one of these per 100, that's pretty good ROI on your time. And
100%.
so like yeah, like the whole reason, you are paid to have excessive curiosity in like people's careers. And yes, it's tiring, but like tell that to the salespeople who are doing like like long 5-stage like discovery processes with like
Yeah.
left and right. Like I mean, it's just like no, I don't think it's easy. But like if you, which is why I think enjoying it helps, right? If you actually are curious about people and what they do and what their jobs actually involve, and how they think about like the trajectory of their careers, right? Then obviously like that would help. But,
It helps tremendously.
if you're in it to because someone said commissions are high in recruiting, and you want like that's probably you're probably gonna get pretty tired because it's
Yeah,
hard.
pretty tired and possibly pretty bored, right? If you're not truly curious about people and their careers.
Yeah. Again, unless maybe you're recruiting, finance grads for investment banking jobs.
Yeah,
Then
then you don't need to.
right place, right time. Right. I don't know.
But on that topic, as we said, we would come back to it. I would love to go back through a little bit of your backstory, and maybe what brought you to where you are today, because you grew up in Singapore, correct?
I grew up in Singapore, and then I moved to the US for college. Came back for my first job, and then moved to LA for startup stuff.
Yeah, for startup stuff. But let's not just glance over. You said, yeah, I went to the US for college, but you went to Yale. It's not nothing. What brought you to Yale? Like, did you want to move to the US? Did you just apply to schools internationally? Like, what's the story there?
Yeah, I really wanted to go into academia, so I wanted to study like history, and I wanted to like read lots of books and write books. Like that was like I don't know, like 20-year-old me. And so I was like, where is like the best research university where I can study like history and then read lots of books? And I was like, the Yale Library has 11 million volumes of books and it has like, like one
Just
of the largest
amazing.
history departments, and it's all these things. And I was like, let's go there. I also applied to Oxford and Cambridge, and I was like, well, Yale has a larger library than apparently. Then I was like, oh, yeah, whatever. Like, it's
Sure.
actually true, but like, yeah, I
Yeah, yeah.
mean, so that's why I went to Yale, and I I actually did that. Like, I read like, I remember we had like a 200 book loan limit from the library, and I maxed out my loan limit all the time. And I
Whoa.
had like, I would like bring a suitcase to the library to like get all these books to bring it back to
That's
my
awesome.
apartment. And so yeah, that's why I went there. And I guess I'm not an academic now, so like, what happened? And I
Indeed.
mean, well, I realized that like, you can be really into, you can be like a top researcher and still really struggle to find a job, because the academic job market is like a small, and B shrinking, and C involves like lots of like random happenstance, chance, luck and chance things. Like, it's very hard to control your destiny. I think that's one of the reasons why I like being an entrepreneur, and like running my own business, because um, it's you against the market. It's like pretty meritocratic, right? Like,
Yes.
if you figure it out, you figure it out. If you don't, you don't. And if this market's not working, you go pick another market. Like, nobody will like get in your way, right?
Yeah.
Like, and
Sky's the limit.
so
Do whatever you want.
yeah, I think ironically, academia is like, I mean, like, the whole point is like the merit of your ideas, and how much work you put into your research. But on the other hand, it's not very meritocratic. Like, but you can have stellar research and still not get a job, for like all sorts of random reasons. But I think like it's fair. Like, if you run like a top tier recruiting business, you will make money,
Right.
right?
Totally.
Uh, there, and if you don't, I mean, I think even in like a recession, the best recruiters make money. So
Yeah, for sure. And
um,
and largely, I would argue because of things like you said before, right? If you're running a very commoditized and transactional recruiting practice, it can affect you for sure. It'll affect your bottom line in the market. But if you have those true relationships, trusted relationships, then the recession just changes your focus. You have to shift gears and be creative for sure, but you can still make money.
yeah, so I think ironically, business is like a very meritocratic space. It's like,
Totally.
it rewards the ingenuity of your ideas, like the amount of effort you put in, like your hustle, right? And I think that's why I kind of fell in love with it, working for a startup, and like running my own. Um, uh, yeah. If you build like I now run a SaaS company, right? So like, if you build good software, people will use it. If your software is bad, nobody will use it. We're typical.
Yeah.
And then if you build a SaaS no one wants to use, just go build a better SaaS, or build a different SaaS, or like, and yeah, I mean, there's obviously some luck and chance, but I mean, your like quality of work and like amount of work is rewarded by the market, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah, and value, right? Like what's how much, it could be a beautifully designed piece of software, but if people don't need it,
Yeah, and so
you're
I think
stuck.
it forces it, like, yeah, it really kind of like, I my first job out of college was like in a marketing consultancy, right? And we consulted for clients, and I would say like, we consult for very large clients, like the Googles of the world, right? Like Coca-Cola, Procter and
Yeah.
Gamble, stuff like that. And often, like, honestly, in consulting for companies like that, it's not really about like you can have really bright ideas, but at the end of the day, the client's paying you so that you can say
Yes.
something to rubber stamp like what they already wanted to do, so that they don't have to take responsibility for if it goes wrong. And so like, I would say like that was also like not a super meritocratic role. Like the merit idea, like there were other things going on, and like you would get these like, you get consulting contracts, because of a long term relationship that a partner had with someone on the client side, right? And yeah, so I think I that was what I did after school, and again, like all this kind of led to like why I'm kind of like quite passionate about running a business myself, because it's not you chart your own destiny, and yeah, like you don't have to politic your way into success, right? You can just like build a valuable thing.
Yeah, that's very well said. Very well said. What would you say in your journey now that you've been an entrepreneur a couple of times over? You're in SaaS now at this point. Is it mostly recruiting and salespeople that use your tool, or who are the people who use Kondo the most?
Yeah, I think like yes, I mean broadly defined, like people who people who like sell something on LinkedIn.
Right.
But I mean with some, yeah, so I'd say like it's quite a broad range of people, from like founders to like people raising money to people hiring people
Gotcha.
for themselves or for their clients. Yeah, so sales and recruiting are big use cases for us. I'd say like I've discovered that there's like a wide diversity of people who sell stuff on LinkedIn. Like some of our larger customers include a company which sells like private jet flights to high net worth individuals. Right? Like I wouldn't guessed that these sales are made on LinkedIn.
Yeah, seriously.
We
Me
have
neither.
like fitness coaches. We
That I
have
get for sure.
financial advisors. We have niche content creators, like experts in a very specific domain, like explosive safety, or like
Whoa, cool.
yeah. We have some lawyers. So I think I've been surprised by like how diverse a place LinkedIn is.
Yeah, that's true.
And there are 150 million daily active users on LinkedIn, in case anyone hasn't heard of that. But like that's a lot of people, and
Yeah,
that like a lot of different type of people, right?
for sure.
And yeah, and many of like many different kinds of people have lots of messages and make money from messages, and in ways you don't really understand or know. And yeah, I'm grateful in my seat having like building the software that many of them use, that I can discover this little world, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's changed a lot, I find, LinkedIn, in terms of the diversity of the people who use it and what they use it for. Like 10 years ago, it was completely different, right? It was mostly, business professionals, TA departments, people who just like people who were only looking for a job. They didn't have a LinkedIn unless they were looking. Now it's
Mhm.
like, it really is a robust network of people even just meeting each other.
Yeah, I mean, I see like a lot of direct to consumer brands and founders on LinkedIn as well. You'd
Totally.
expect that they hang out in Instagram,
Yeah.
but but like if you're a brand, like, and you're selling to like let's say like large stores, and the buyers in those stores, like guess where those folks are? They're on LinkedIn. They're not they're not even on Instagram, right? So
Yeah.
like it's kind of interesting. Like yeah, almost everyone's on LinkedIn now,
It's true.
and mm, like yeah, they're even like construction professionals on LinkedIn. Like things you'd expect are like more blue collar. Things you expect like are offline, right? They're not. They're just all coming online. And where are they going to go? Well, not Twitter. Well, not TikTok. I mean, people hang on TikTok for sure, but like it's not where they like. You don't go TikTok DM people about business stuff unless you're a content creator or something, right? So
Yes.
yeah, I think LinkedIn is where the serious messages that haven't made their way into text or email are at.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed completely. What do you think has changed in your mind, in your market, or in sales, or what observations do you have about how things have changed in 2026 or even maybe late 2025? Because I feel like things are changing very quickly, and some people are still stuck on the things that were working in 2023, or that were, you know what I mean, that were problems then that are no longer problems. How do you feel about how it's evolved very recently?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is like, I'm surprised that this is still somewhat controversial, but like the
Sounds juicy.
like a like like Opus 4.6 allows everyone to like be a builder, right? Like you can build any piece of software you want, right? Like even if you don't understand what JavaScript is, right? And like if this sounds like hype to you, it's because you haven't done it. You
You haven't
haven't
tried it,
tried
yeah.
it. Like it actually works, right? Like
That's crazy, yeah.
and I think to articulate like why this is for people who like for whom this is like seems new or controversial, it's because models got really good really fast. Maybe not at everything, like like there are all sorts of jokes about how they can't do basic things like or they write like sloppy posts or like AI sounding posts or whatever. Like, but like if there's one thing that I think is uncontroversial, like large language models write code very
Right.
well, right? And guess what? When they write code very well, they can build software for anything. And like software is like a great lever for your operational efficiency in any job, right? And so, like I think the breakthrough is that like these models allow you to like, as someone who has zero technical background, to like figure out now like how to build software for yourself that will like fundamentally change your workflow, and it can build this thing in like hours, if not minutes, not in days or weeks. It to For the people who are like not aware of this, software engineers don't write code anymore. Software engineers babysit or review the code that like models spit out, right? So like if they do that, if they're doing that, and I mean that's a good reason why you still pay engineers money. But like anyone can be a builder, right? Anyone can build anything now. That's like a digital product, and so I think we're still early days. Like some people still don't believe this, or they don't think it should be, or like whatever. Like and fine, right? Like have your own opinions. I don't care. Like you're entitled to them. But the reality is that like this is anyone can build anything now. um, and some people will do that, and those people will get ahead. How will they get ahead? They will basically be able to automate lots of like automatable things away. Now, you can't automate like building human relationships away. You can't automate like having trust. But you can automate like all the random admin stuff you do, which takes up 20 hours a week, and you can automate that away. Then now you're 20 hours richer in your week. And then you can do 2x of the things that the other guy who hasn't figured out how to do that is doing. So if you haven't got on the bandwagon, it's like not too late to, and it's time to. And but you're just like get on back. Don't expect it to like go be a recruiter for you. But yes, expect it to like like build you a tool where like you throw it a spreadsheet of names and it does everything else for you, right? So
I think
yeah,
that's very interesting, and it is a big change. Do you think that once people do clue in to the fact that they can automate their own processes in perhaps a bespoke way, do you think that there's a bit of an existential threat to the thousands of different tools that come out every week that you see? Maybe not thousands a week, but still hundreds a month for sure of tools that people would be paying for in SaaS. To automate their processes if they once they clue in that they can do it in a bespoke way for themselves.
of course. I mean, like, there's a reason why like SaaS valuations have gone down. Like,
Yeah.
This week, two people who I asked like, why did you cancel Kondo? Was like, I went to vibe code, like I went to plug this thing to OpenClaw, and OpenClaw does my LinkedIn messages for me, so I don't need your thing anymore, right? So like, of course, like it's real. Like, if anything can be built, I mean, it doesn't mean the thing you build is going to be like the best version of it or as good as like, but it might do the job. It might do the job. Like, and I think another mistake people make is like they go build things to replace like low cost things. Like a million people are like, oh, I don't need to pay $12 a month for Calendly anymore because I can vibe code a Calendly, right? Like I can like it's not worth your time to vibe code something that costs $12 a month. Right? Like the thing that takes up like 10 hours of your week, which software couldn't really solve that easily, that costs you like basically in time like thousands of dollars a month. Go build something for that, right? Don't go like vibe code something that will save you $12 a month. Your time is like worth a lot more than that. Come on, right? So I think this like many people will not like replace software, not because they can't, but because like a lot of software, like a lot of SaaS is actually quite cheap relative to the value of your time, right? And you don't want to go maintain your vibe coded Calendly when it breaks. You want
Yeah,
Calendly at $12 a month to like make
defeats the
sure it
purpose.
never breaks, right? And then when it
Right.
breaks, you want to go yell at them and say like, "You guys go fix it," right? It's very cheap for $12 a month. So I think I see Kondo the same way, where or a $30-$40 a month tool. You if you're good enough, go vibe code it, be my guest, right? But like you sure you want to maintain it when your little thing breaks,
Yeah,
right?
that's it. This is the
Like
problem with creating your own tools, right? Is that now you're the
um,
administrator as well. You have to fix things.
but yeah, so I think definitely like software is under pressure, or like specifically the nature of software markets will change. There'll be a lot more like bite-sized personal software people build for themselves. But and subscriptions to tools which help people build these things on top of models will like will become a staple part of people's software stack, right?
Yeah.
Um and but this is tech. Things change fast. Like the marginal cost of product is nothing because it's all code, and code is like what the text, right?
Yeah.
And so I think yes, you are seeing this like very like mm, like very obvious or very sudden um example of like probably a fundamental truth in tech, which is that there is no real like there are very few deep moats in anything. You can always be disrupted, and you have to figure out like how you are going to be stay ahead as someone building a tool. And if you're selling it, you have to think about how you can be the next thing or build the next thing. And
Yeah.
that's probably like your lasting competitive advantage rather than the thing you've already built, right? Like it's very hard to lock people in, and some software will lock people in and they'll figure it out. And good for them. But like, and yeah, it's kind of, you have to think about these questions a bit more now that software is easier to build and cheaper, I think.
It's interesting you say that because I feel like when I talking to salespeople and recruiters on every day, a lot of people get to a point where what they get tired of in sales is that they feel like pressure to always work on the next thing. And they
Mhm.
don't feel like their achievements have earned them the right to basically be like, I've done my achievements, I've achieved something, therefore I don't always need to be thinking about the next thing. My impression is that that's just the way that society and the job market is moving, is that everybody in most positions needs to be thinking one step ahead because things change so quickly, and it's almost like increasing your tolerance for that, and even finding it exciting or interesting and getting into it, and being curious about it or whatever else is probably a better practice than trying to find an industry where you've achieved it, you can chill now.
I mean, it's up to you. I mean, maybe you did a sales job once upon a time. You closed a huge deal. You made $1 million a year for 5 years, right? You can go retire on that 5 mil, maybe if like you have a modest life, and then yeah, you can chill out. You don't need to care what Claude is if you don't want to. But
Sure.
but maybe you do. Maybe it's fun, right? Like
Yeah.
right? Like maybe you want to like see what else you can do, like what impact you can make with these new tools. And then but you can still have a chill life while doing that, and right. So I'd say no. Obviously, you can cash in on what you've done before, right? Like this is
Sure.
like if you grew up in a rich family, you don't have to care, like whatever
No, no, for
you
sure.
want.
This is for people who need to work. It's like, which is most people, let's face it, who need to work.
And well, and for people who need to work, then I'd say, yeah, mm, especially in tech, not
Yeah,
maybe like the things are different for other industries, but there is never a dull day in tech. Someone's always out to eat your lunch, and
totally.
like and I think it can be daunting, it can be frustrating, but like just like accepting, like being a bit zen about it, and be like treating it like a game, and like yeah, like shit happens, yeah, get on with it, right? And but it, like with a change in attitude, I think it can be fun. It's like, do you want to be the guy who's like trying to hold on to the thing that was like yesterday, or do you want to be a guy who's like, oh yeah, it's okay, like things are fast changing. I'll be the first guy who does the tomorrow thing, and everyone will be trying to do that. And not everyone will be the first to market, right? But then like you try, and then even if you like fall to second place, you'll get something,
For
right?
sure.
Like there's enough money to go around. Like you'll like you won't be the top dog, but you'll like you will be rewarded in some measure for your efforts, right? I think.
Yeah, totally. That's a good way of putting it. Speaking of change and drastic change, here's maybe a slightly more personal question. What is something that existed or that was common in your childhood or in your past that no longer is a thing now that you perhaps miss, or do you miss it? Could be something you hated that's gone now too because of the march of progress.
That's a good question.
I don't think it needs
Uh,
to be tech related. It could be grunge, and maybe you loved grunge in the '90s, and now it's gone. Like that could be anything, really.
mm, oh, this is a very good question. um,
Is it
what
too
was
good?
there? Uh, mm, I don't know. I feel like one thing that's a bit hard to like even remember how things were like is like once upon a time, like there was not like people weren't on social media all day, right? Like
Yep.
what like once upon a time, like yeah, you'd go watch a YouTube video now and then, but like it was like everything there weren't shorts.
Yeah.
Like your phone, like it's something to do with like the iPhone came out and got like really good, whatever, like there was an explosion of like attention grabbing content on every possible platform. um like I think the attention like our attention spans have decreased significantly. We're always on screen. Like at some point there was like screen time and I think people now just don't care. They're just like on screens all day, and like they're not trying to do anything about it. And so I think that's something I miss, right? It's like much harder to switch off these days.
Yeah.
But actually, like even with the pace of change in tech, like switching off probably is important because and I just heard this in a podcast. Like there's this podcast called Michael and Dalton. They're like
Mm.
former Y Combinator partners, and they have this little YouTube show. And they said like how like if all your ideas are from like podcasts or like what Y Combinator says, like none of your ideas will be unique. Like
Exactly.
right. And so if you truly unique ideas like are exactly that. They have not been said before. They don't come from the grapevine. And so I think one downside of how we're constantly on a feed nowadays is that we don't like have these like step away bubbles where like we genuinely like look to like things that are not on a feed for inspiration on like what to build or how to think about like the world or what's an interesting project.
Yep.
And so I think I miss like a world where like the feeds didn't like dominate our lives. Yeah.
That's a very good point. I love that you made that point. I used to be in the music business for 20 years, as I say almost on every podcast, and probably annoy people by repeating it all the time. But I used to be very involved in record producing and working with different artists and songwriting and composing and stuff like that. And I was teaching lessons at some point in a past life, like years ago, on composition. And people would be like, "How do I write better songs?" And I'm like, well, there's a reason why some artists' quality of songs and originality goes down the more famous they get, because if all you do is write songs, play songs, and listen to songs, what do you have to write about, right? Like you need to go out and live. You need to live life, and then creativity will come because of the situations and the emotions that you have from living a life. But if all you do is
Mhm.
listen to songs and play songs, what are you going to write about? Songs. That's it. And it's the same kind of thing. Like you're saying, if you're always in a feed and listening to other podcasts, where's your true creativity, your human creativity and originality going to come from? it's probably from living life outside of those apps, getting into situations, relationships, heartbreak, failure, success, and so on, that will spark that natural human creativity that we all have deep down.
Yeah, and also like I don't know, just getting inspiration from things that aren't like the latest trending thing, right?
Absolutely.
Um, and ironically, like some of those things actually become the trending thing, like because they are like original, somewhat, like um, they stick out. Yeah, so I've been trying quite intentionally to reduce my time on the LinkedIn feed, which is like hard for someone who's like building a LinkedIn tool.
Totally.
um, but I I've decided that I'm gonna try. Like I have blocked my calendar where I get to check the LinkedIn feed for that hour a day, and that's it.
Yeah.
And thanks to Kondo, I can like still respond to my customers who like send me DMs, but without opening the feed, right? Like just in like my messaging interface.
Good
And
segue.
so yeah, trying that out and trying to like I'm even considering like getting rid of the LinkedIn app from my phone. um,
Bold.
but
I am not
we'll
considering that because of my work, but I hear you. I respect it.
yes, but I mean, like, I feel like if I'm doing I have my laptop with me all the time,
Yeah, for sure. I
so
totally
I
agree.
really need to do work. I'll just take my laptop out and yeah, save the phone for other things. But
Yeah, totally understood. So I have a follow-up question to that last question. That was an excellent answer, by the way. Is what is something that you think exists now that will cease to exist in our lifetimes in the same kind of way? What do you predict will go away? Obviously, I'm not going to hold you to it. I promise, because no one knows. But what do you think is on the way out? I guess that we will see disappear in our lifetimes.
hmm,
Do you think people will be able to unplug and get off of social media eventually, as an example, or are we
nope,
are we done? Nope, we're stuck.
nope,
We're stuck with it.
no, nope. Ads are not going away. Like, what do I think is going away? I mean, I do honestly think that at least in like the knowledge for knowledge workers, like people who like use computers to do their work, um, it is very possible that like certain like people stop using certain things. Like, I mean, I even want to say that people will not use spreadsheets in the same way in 30 years from now. Like maybe you'll still have the idea of a spreadsheet, like a table. I don't think tables are going away, but like
Yeah, I doubt it.
but but the idea that you would like, I wonder like if we'd be writing like Excel formulas 30 years from now. I'm
Yeah,
guessing not, because like definitely not, humans will not be writing Excel formulas for themselves. And if humans don't write Excel formulas themselves and use some kind of like copilot to write formulas for them, then the copilot might as well not write formulas. It can write it can write Python, right?
yeah,
And so I think actually a lot of like data gathering and analysis kind of work will go away. It seems like the most like democratic application of AI. And like why on earth, like you would never use a pivot table anymore when you can just tell Claude to go write you a Python script to like get the insight you need, right? And
yeah,
like this is like it never fails to do this. It's never like bad at this. It's like very
yeah.
like turnkey. Um yeah, and so I believe that some like the traditional like data analyst kind of role will go away. And there's really yeah, and we won't do data analysis anymore. I'm pretty sure.
Here's a follow up question for you on that, and I agree with you. I think that it's already going away, right? And I totally agree with you. Maybe I'm just quick to think sci-fi and say I don't even think it'll take 30 years. I think it'll take just a few years before we start to see a big trend. But follow up question on that is, do you think that the ubiquity of being able to have Claude, for example, write you Python script to get more bespoke and granular and specific data analytics on basically whatever you need when there's data there, do you think that the ubiquity of that level of granular analysis will devalue it in the market? Meaning that the industry around data and the, you know what I mean, like the market value of data analytics, quantitative data analytics will go down, and perhaps creative ways of getting qualitative data, which is a little bit more in the human realm of what's going on and less just in the speeds and feeds, will go up. Or is that thinking too far ahead, do you think? Or is that assumptive on my part to think that?
It's a good question. I mean, I think like the way to think about it is like these things are cheaper, right? So like that, like for example, when I went to high school, we had these things called scientific calculators, and we
Yeah.
definitely don't use those guys anymore, right?
No,
Like,
for sure.
and so like why? Because like math is cheap, right? So I don't think that the value of good math has gone down. I just think that it's like very cheap to deliver, right? So I
Yeah.
don't think like good insights will ever be bad insights. For example, I don't think like good pricing strategies in like e-commerce will ever like not be effective, right? Like they work because of like the way like fundamental human psychology on how people buy. So like a good pricing model will be good. It's just cheaper to get a good pricing model, so maybe like like the economy will be more efficient. But I think at the end of the day, so I don't think that just because more people can do the job well, the job won't work. I think the job will just be cheaper, so you wouldn't like be able like, I think like pricing strategy consultants will go away. Right.
Yeah. And I think my thinking is more like, if everybody can access this cheaply, then everyone will have a good pricing strategy. Everyone will have a similarly good, because all of them are
Yeah, and
using
I
AI
don't think
tools.
that negates pricing. It's like how like if everyone gets better like healthcare advice because like LLMs become better like primary care doctors, like does it mean like like everyone gets less help? Like I think that that's how
No,
to
no,
think about
exactly.
it,
I
right?
agree with that for
Yeah.
sure.
Um. Yeah, but I don't know.
I
And
mean, and
I
who
don't know.
does? But I'm
But like
curious.
I don't know, like if you're day trading, if like if like if algorithms, like if everyone has a perfect day trading algorithm, then this is like strictly competitive, right? Like if like
Yeah,
the whole point of alpha is that like you have a strategy which no one else has, and so
that's exactly
I
it.
so I think that applies in some cases. I don't think it apply, think it applies universally to all the things that AI will make easier. But maybe in
No,
some things, yes. But this all that means is that it will put like an even greater premium on people who can like get ahead of the curve, right? Like to like challenge the kind of like try and test the way of like doing this thing. Like it'll reward creativity more because at the end of the day, like AI is fundamentally regressive. It infers from data that it already has, or
there you go.
data that already exists in the world. It can't like come up with something fundamentally novel. I think at least. Yeah, I don't know, but might be wrong.
No, but I mean, that's the sort of raison d'être of this entire podcast, right? Is to sort of suggest that the human traits like creativity and empathy and resilience and all those kinds of things will probably go up in value in the job market, because that's what it will take to be a differentiator, right? Because a
Mhm.
lot of people will have access to similar quality tools to do a lot of the other things. So yeah, I'm on the same camp that I think creativity will be more rewarded as things evolve.
Mhm.
Um, and you know what? That's a good place for us to end it. Somehow we've already gone a whole hour. I thank you very much, Mitchell, for joining us and giving us your insights. We'd love to have you back again anytime. uh, trycondo.com. In fact, we are going to have a partnership link that's going to be available here on LinkedIn or on YouTube or Facebook or X, wherever you're listening to this right now. Obviously, you can catch Recruiting EQ live on Wednesdays. You'll see these sort of invites come out Wednesdays at noon EST, or you can listen anywhere you get your podcasts after the fact, where once again, we will have that partnership link. I invite you all to click it and to try Kondo. It's worth it.
Okay.
Thanks, Mitchell.
Thank you.